Days 2021. Gas is why I'm talking right now. There's a just listen.
Call your people. Call your people. Let them know what's going on in here. Right now, they're spraying everybody.
Why?
So they got no choice. Everybody's banding together. They got no choice. They ain't got no workers here. They ain't got nothing. They have enough workers here to spray everybody.
What's happening right now? What do you
They're
think?
dragging people out. Out of their pods.
Right now, one of the inmates has been cuffed. He's been dragged out. He's being dragged out right now by 4 officers. He's unconscious, they believe. He's been dragged out unconscious from the cell. Right now, the scene is I'm in pod E4. The situation is going on next door. We can see right into E5. You can hear the cats hear that we're all coughing because the gas that they're using. I have on the mask, but I don't have on the mask, so you can hear me clearly. You can hear the background. You can hear my voice. Right now, they're in E5, the pod E5, where there's as many as 22 people in the pod. There are several people like being arrested and removed. As you can see, this is the reaction when they spray gas in the jail. Right now, there's a lieutenant as well as other corrections officers in E5. They are removing more inmates. Like I said, the first inmate we saw removed was dragged out, we believe, unconscious. He was dragged. The floor is a wet mess. All the CEOs before all came in with gas masks on. This looks like the third. It looks like this is the third inmate being arrested and taken out. Everyone in the E5 pod seems is being removed and arrested, all being put in hand restraint and escorted out of their pod E5. The lieutenant, Strange, seems to be in charge, taking charge, and she is the one putting the inmates one by one in hand restraint. The other officers have on all of it. I think that's the third person being escorted out by a corrections officer with a gas mask on. You can hear everyone is coughing. So there are approximately 60 inmates affected by the gas right now in this side of the dorm. There's, like that, mostly everyone has on gas masks as far as the correction officers. Some of them do not. This has been a situation that's been brewing all day because the correction officers the correction officers allege that they're understaffed, and because they're understaffed, none of the inmates were let out of their pod for the usual daily recreational activity.
Past 2 days.
Past 2 days. For the past 2 days, we had not been let out for recreation. That means to get out and see some daylight, to play ball, to play handball, the stuff that we usually do during anywhere from 45 minutes.
Because they're understaffed.
Because they're understaffed is what they're alleging. Right now, they're still arresting inmates who are in E5 and removing them from the cell. This has been going on pretty much all day now. There's been protests all day. The hallway for E5 and E6 is just an outrageous, dirty, slushy mess. The protest began with the inmates in E5 literally pouring trash can full of water outside of their pod in protest. And that protest led to literally a very unsafe and unhygienic situation. And you can see or hear my pod mates and what they're screaming. The process is because they want to be let out. You have a right to be let out to see the sun, and because they can't control a few inmates, because they can't control 2, 3, 4, maybe inmates, they got over 60 inmates who reach the punishment. It's unjust, it's unfair, and it just ain't right. The treatment is not right that I have to deal with being gassed because of what's going on next door and for inmates. The telephones are off. So I'm calling right now from the iPad that they issue us. The pay telephones right now are not operable. So Lieutenant is making sure right now asking, do we have masks? We've been ordered to return to our bunk. As you can hear, that is the Lieutenant Strange, who has come in and taken charge of the situation. She's hardcore. She's got like now when I say that the COs are wearing gas masks, I'm not talking about a coronavirus mask. I'm talking about they came in with full kind of SWAT gear kind of gas mask. Huh? What's that? I'm connected. Jamal, you still there?
Still connected, bro.
Okay. So we still have an internet connection. The phones are off. We're able to record this, fortunately. As you can see, there are still screaming that for people to call your loved ones, tell them what's going on. You heard from one of the inmates describing the situation, encouraging everyone to tell their folks on the outside what's going on in here. I have a mask on, but like I said, I took it off to my coronavirus mask, which isn't going to help anyway. This stuff goes right through the mask and causes the effect that you can hear around me right now. Everyone coughing, everyone sneezing. In my pod, E4, there's 3 of the inmates left yesterday, so I think there's maybe 19 of us. This dorm can hold up to 24. I believe there's 19 of us in this particular one, and E5 and E6 can hold as many as 24 inmates. So that's why I say there's at least 60 of us affected. There's a door that closes in literally E1, E2, and E3. So although we're in the same kind of housing under the same roof, half of the dorms are split and separated by metal doors. So E1, E2, and E3 are surely not affecting or, dealing with the effect of the gas. Right now, the scene in E4 is some watching television, some observing, everyone sneezing. Many have used wet towels to protect their as I started off, but for you to hear me clearly and for me to narrate, I had to take it off. Right now at the gate, there are 3 of my pod mates who have been standing in unison with what the protest has been during in E5. Excuse me if I sneeze. It's I guess it's like a pepper spray because the effect is like pepper. There are many seasoned inmates in this jail, and all of seen anything quite like this before. Mark, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Inmates have never seen anything quite like this before. There are many who have been literally in and out of jail dozens and dozens of times, have gone up the road to prison. But it is unanimous that those folks with this experience have never seen anything like what we just saw. I can't believe what I just saw. I can't imagine that the inmate from E5, first one we saw taken out, was drugged out, and my partners believe that that inmate was unconscious. The scene now is dying down. I guess they're dealing with the people who were taken out. To give some more history of what's been going on today, it all started with protests, banging on the gates, yelling at the CEOs for just to be let out, just to get some rec time. And because none of us were let out, and even when they're understaffed, it makes sense to let people out for rec. Because when you let people out for rec, that's where they get to blow their energy. It's like anything. You go to the gym, you go work out, that's an opportunity to blow off some hot steam. These folks know exactly what they're doing by keeping everyone in the pod and giving us no rec. So where else is the hot steam going to let out? It's going to blow. And that's what you all have just heard and witnessed. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to call in this recording during the peak of the situation, but I think, I guess the peak of the situation was the one inmate being dragged out, what was believed unconsciously. And me witnessing for myself, the COs, correction officers that came in literally with gas masks on to protect themselves. Not all of the correction officers had on gas masks, so even they were coughing and sneezing, which means they couldn't even do their job properly because they're called the rest of us. But again, the issue was not in my dorm, E4. The issue is pretty much isolated in E5. Part of the protest was we refused to accept our dinner trays tonight. There was a lot of consternation behind that.
1 minute left.
Not everyone wanted to participate in that. Mark, I'm about to call you back because I have 1 minute left, so I'm just going to end it right now.
All right.
The caller has hung up.